Welcome to the Havening Happy Hour. I am Hillary Russo, and some of you I know, some of you I do not know. There's some new names and faces here, so I love that we have a ton of people from all over the country. I'm not sure we're going to get across the pond now because it's later. I try to do these at different times in the day, depending on the time of year. And this summer I've been doing them at 7, and I know all my friends across the pond can't make it because they're like, Hillary, it's 3 in the morning. I'm like, I'm sorry. So the next one, I do promise, and I'm getting this recorded on video, it will be earlier in the day. So happy hour might actually be a midday hour. So look, it's happy hour somewhere, right? So I am just really elated to have everybody here. I know we're going to have some people that might drizzle into the room. Sometimes we get that in the first 10 or so minutes, and I like to be open about that. But I do see a couple havening practitioners in the room, which I always love when I have fellow havening practitioners here. That is like the biggest honor, by the way. I have to say, when I have my fellow practitioners here, you're trusting me enough to want to be here when you've worked all day, you've been doing havening, and here you are. So thank you for being here. Um, and then for those of you who are not familiar with havening, I'm going to share what it is briefly. We're going to do a little havening today. How many of you in the room, and I could probably name them right now, have done havening before, be it practitioner, consider on the training route. I know we got a couple of those, or you've worked with me or somebody in the room. Yeah, you've tried havening, just tried it. You're familiar with it. Awesome. I love that. And then we have some folks that have never done it before. Yeah. Raise your hands if you're like, I'm trying something new. Brilliant. Love it. Of course, I always suggest if you can come on camera, it's always better because when you're doing the havening, I can just be mindful of how you're doing it, making sure that you're doing proper protocol. That's really important. You don't have to, but it just helps me help you so that if you decide to use this in your own practice, in your own home, or consider going on to consider a practitioner route, knowing how you're doing it and making sure that I'm being a smart practitioner and showing up for you, I can do that. I see a couple hands up already. I love that. Get to that just in a second. I'm just going to run through the protocol for our Havening Happy Hours for those who have never been. Just so you know who I am, again, I'm Hillary Russo. I'm a certified Havening practitioner. I've been doing this work for about 6 years now. And I'm now in training to be a trainer. So I have my first training to put more practitioners out into the world in late September. I'm very excited about that. In fact, I have one of my trainees in the room, so I'm excited about that even more. And I am also a hypnotherapist and a certified integrative nutrition health coach. And I got into this work. I kind of fell into it. I really fell into it. And I think that's kind of how life happens. We find things and life is a falling into, like many of us have that kind of a story. But the reason why I started doing these is when the pandemic happened, I was still in my early stages of being a practitioner, a couple of years. I'd really been trained by the co-developing doctors, Dr. Steve and Ron Ruden, who was one is an internist, one is a dentist, living near the New York area and in New York at that time, where Havening really was developed. I had the really beautiful benefit of training with them firsthand and going to these training meetups all the time. So when the pandemic happened, we were like, oh, where are we going to do this? Well, the digital age provides us a lot of possibilities. In fact, I think it's made me a better practitioner because, having people all over the world that I can support, and we're seeing how there's a real benefit to telehealth and just being able to see no boundaries, really. And I started to do this. It was on my birthday, actually, during the pandemic, and I'm like, "Well, can't go anywhere, can't do anything, might as well have my own happy hour," and I just was like, "You know what? I just wanna support people on their well-being," because my birthday happened to be in March. The world shut down on March 13th, 14th, so I wanted to create something where people could come together, and I'm like, "I might as well use this tool I have to help people on their wellness journey." Yes, right? Thank you, Janine, I appreciate that. So that's where I've been doing this, and I host them for free because I want people to just be more aware of what this approach is, this beautiful neuroscience-based modality. And also, I don't know, I feel like we have to giving back is part of human nature and human connection. And I truly love doing these every month. I think it also makes me, again, a better practitioner to do this and present in front of groups, which I've been doing for a while because my background is actually media. Before I got into health and wellness, I was already a health journalist and been in front of the camera for 30 years of my life. I might as well talk about the good stuff, right? Because I got plenty of bad stuff that I covered over the years. So that's my journey getting into this. And as long as I can, I imagine I'll be doing this for a long time because obviously I have my private clients, I have my group clients, and I get to speak on this all over the world. But to be able to serve and have this time where I can just show up and if I want to be in my pajamas, I can, right? It's just giving people an opportunity to come together, self-regulate and self-soothe for self-care. And every month I pick a theme. And this month we're going to do self-care because September is self-care awareness month. So I try to do these at the end of the month so we can be power forward into a new month and use these beautiful tools. So that is my story. I love that we have people from all over the country. And I'm just curious if anyone, I see a couple hands up. So I'll take questions, a few questions now, and then we'll get into havening and what it's all about. So Seppi, did you have a question that you wanted to ask? Or is it an accidental hand raise, which I do all the time, by the way? All right, maybe not. So let me share a little bit about what havening is. I know some of you know this, so you're going to just hear Hillary on repeat, but havening is a psychosensory approach that uses touch and positive thought, working memory, imagination, anything that's really bringing you peace, calm, and joy, how I look at it, to rewire the brain, you know? And a beautiful way of thinking about it is that, you know, if you have something that brings you peace and calm and joy, it's so easy to kind of be in that state. You're in a being moment, right? You're in a state of being when you're there or thinking about it. And if we can just pair that together, that thought, or whether it's a song that you sing that makes you happy, that releases those really happy chemicals in the brain, whether it is just being with someone or getting a hug, that oxytocin, all of those feelings, emotions stir up these amazing chemicals, these hormones in the brain, the happy hormones, happy chemicals, I call them. And that's oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and GABA. Those are the four that are released when you are havening. And what makes havening so special is it's a dance. It is doing a havening touch, which is like you're washing your hands, or you are gently just stroking your arms with your thumbs together down your elbows, from your shoulders to your elbows, or even on your face. And we find, and doing it this way is a totally different feeling and experience when you try it this way. It's almost like somebody's touching your face. So you can do it anyway, but there's so many beautiful ways that you can support yourself with havening. And there's no choreography to it. If you're more comfortable just doing it like this, that's fine. In fact, I do it like this all the time. I encourage those who are in the working environment, if they're feeling their stress or overwhelm, or maybe not, you know, something's going on at work that doesn't feel good, you can just sit there at your desk. I mean, nobody knows what you're doing. And we probably do this anyway without even realizing it's part of what havening is. But when you pair this touch together with that working memory, that visualization, or even just thinking about something that brings you peace, calm, and joy, you actually are in the process of rewiring the brain. There's a part of your brain that we all learned about in science class called the amygdala, right? Little Miss Amy, Amy the amygdala. And Amy is designed to keep you safe. You know, Amy is fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? And if Amy feels danger and doesn't feel safe, she is going to go into get me the heck out of Dodge mode, right? Or she's going to be very, she's going to be reactive, right? And Amy doesn't have to be a female. I associate Amy with this just trying to take care of like a young child in a way. When a child falls and skins their knee, the first thing you do is you pick them up and you hold them and you say, you're okay. The worst is over. You're safe, right? So it's the same thing with your amygdala. You need to remind the amygdala that it's safe. It's a relationship that you're building. And when you remind that part of your brain that it's safe, then what you're doing is you are creating a safe haven in your mind. That's where the word havening comes from. It's a transitive verb for the word safe place, a haven, right? Kind of fun, right? So when you're creating that safe haven in your mind and you're havening, doing that touch, that pleasant distraction, what you're doing is you're releasing, like I said, the oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, GABA. You are putting your brain in this delta wave state. These are the slowest moving brain waves. And when you do that, you are able to find the calm in the chaos. You're able to make better decisions. You can step back and step out of something and just feel that level of safety that you feel might be taken away from you in that moment when you're feeling upset or overwhelmed. Or even when you're working with a practitioner, you can get into the deep trauma work. That's the beauty of havening, is that it could be used for every day. What you're learning right now is facilitated self-havening. That's what we're going to do. You're going to be doing it to yourself. But there's also the option of having a facilitated session on you where a havening practitioner is doing the havening touch on you. If you're comfortable with it, everything's permissible, right? A permission based. So that's what's so beautiful about this approach, is that, as Dr. Steve Ruden always says, and I love this quote, he always says it's putting the power of active emotional well-being in your own hands, meaning that there are a number of modalities out there where you have to rely on a practitioner, right? That you need the practitioner in order to actually execute the therapeutic mean that you're looking into. But with havening, with everyday upsets, you can use this to fall asleep. You can use this when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed or a little bit anxious. I use this a lot with students, and we're putting it more in schools now, which is great. Um, with first responders, I've been using it to show the first responders. I work with military a lot because of my background, journalists, which are the forgotten first responders, which is that field that I came from. Anyone can use this modality at any age. Like last month, or earlier this month, I was just at a senior center, and it was really beautiful just to show this approach to all of these people in their golden age, many of which might have lost a spouse, so they're dealing with grief. Many might just not see their families as often, or they're out of their element. Now they're living in a different home, and bringing together these active memories, maybe of a great vacation they took. I remember one gentleman was talking about his vacation to Portugal. Another one was talking about playing with his grandkids. And then they just brought this together with the memory, with the touch. And all of a sudden they're just feeling just a sense of self again. That sometimes we lose ourselves in those emotions and those feelings when we feel like we're not safe. So when you have the delta waves, that slow moving brain wave, releasing those beautiful happy hormones, that is what I call the brain candy. And I actually call it hugging it out, because when we're in this process of healing, there are many things that come up for us. Sometimes it is we find the humor in the healing, right? Something happens, we're like, sometime we look back and we might be like, that was it was really bad when it happened and it felt like it was the worst thing in the world, but we're able to laugh at the things that we heal from, right? How many times have you looked back at something like you thought it was the worst thing in the world, and then later you're like, all right, maybe it wasn't that bad, but I've healed from it. I'm healing from it. We're constantly in a healing process. And then it's having a better understanding for yourself. That's the U and the HUG in the hug, right? And then it's also always coming from a place of gratitude, right? When we have the gratitude, not only for things outside of ourselves, but within ourselves, it really truly helps us on that healing journey. So that's what I mean by hugging it out. Because a lot of times when we are in a kerfuffle with somebody else, we might spend time trying to deal with that situation, and somebody comes along and goes, oh, why don't you guys just hug it out and get over it? Or why don't you just hug it out and think about something else? You have plenty that you both are happy about with each other. You can heal from this. Well, how often do we hug it out with ourselves? We are our own worst enemy. We are our worst inner bully, are we not? I mean, on the playground, it's like you against you. So this is an opportunity to remind yourself to hug it out with yourself and find that inner healing and build those tools for self-care. And this is just one of the most beautiful ways you could possibly do that, whether you are 5 or 85. There's really no adverse reaction to it. There's no age that's off limits. And there's really nothing that we're seeing or has been brought up where this cannot be a self-regulating resiliency tool that you can use for everyday upsets. And then when you're working on the deeper rooted upsets, you can work with a practitioner, like many in the room, including myself. So that is what havening is. I want to ask if there's any questions at this point. Does anyone have questions that they want to ask before we try it? Ah, you're like, let's get to it, Hill. Fabulous. Amazing. So part of havening is that we in the world of psychology, we use what's called a subjective unit of distress. We call it a SUD scale. Remind me for a second. I'm just going to take a sip of water because I've been talking all day. One moment, my friends. So the subjective unit of distress, the SUD scale, goes from 0 to 10. It basically is an 11-point scale. You're not getting graded on this. This is just so you have the ability to have a better understanding of where you are and what you're feeling in the moment. So where we're going to go today, since we're working on building our self-care tools, or we're elevating our self-care tools, I would love for you to find something that might be causing you some upset that you would just like to, I don't really need that in my life anymore. And I want you to find something that you might put on a scale of like 4 or 5. I don't want you to go super high. If it goes a little higher, that's okay. We've had people in the room that have had 8 and 9s, but I'm talking about things that are not trauma work because I can't do, and I choose not to do uh, trauma work in a group setting because I want to be able to support each of you without going truly deep and pulling away from one person to help another. This is really a collective. It's a safe space, as I always say. And that is something I take very seriously. So, what is something that is coming up for you? And it's not for you to share. This is for you to do your inner dialogue here. Something that's coming up for you that might be causing you stress or overwhelm, or you'd like to just see it diminish some and deal with it better, and find it on that like 4 or 5 scale. And then I want you to just give it a word. Maybe the word is stress. Maybe it is overwhelm. Maybe it is tired, whatever it might be. And then what I'd like you to do is just put the number and the word, that emotion, in the chat. And we do this so that you can see how havening could be really helpful in a short amount of time just by doing it and seeing where you are now and where you're about to be. Yeah. Inadequate, 7. Okay. Keep going, my friends. This is a supportive place. I see a 4. Maybe put in a word with that if you can figure out a word, or even if it's a color. If you can't think of a word, sometimes with kids, I'll be like, what's a color that doesn't seem positive for you? Whatever works for you. Overwhelm, 6. Overwhelm. Boy, that's a big one lately. Is it the back to school thing? I'm not really sure. I feel like that has been a big overwhelm for parents right now. Procrastinating. Oh boy, do I get that. I'm with you on that one. Concerned, right? Concerned, inadequate, mess, overwhelm, procrastinate, fatigue. All of these are valid. Everything you're sharing makes perfect sense. And being able to identify and really befriend that part of you that is showing up right now is super important. You're not trying to get rid of anything and push it under the rug. Those days are over, right? This is a time for you to say, you know what? I'm feeling this right now, and I'm okay with that. And I'm here because I'm looking for tools to know how to deal with that. And this is where I am on that scale. And I'd like to see it subside a little bit, right? So just be really comfortable with actually be comfortable, uncomfortably comfortable with this, right? And that's okay. So now that you know that, I want to just go over the havening touch again, right? It's like you're washing your hands, just gently, like hug it out with yourself, shoulders down to the elbows. You can see my elbows, or even on your face, right? This almost feels like someone's just giving you a gentle massage. It's a really different feeling from this. And you're going to just, what you're going to do is I'm going to use a little music, and I just want you to go on the journey that you're choosing to go on. The beauty of havening one thing I didn't mention is that unlike regular traditional psychotherapy or talk therapy, you don't even have to share what your upset is. I will say with my clients, I will say with my clients, and I'm sure Janine, you know this as well, when people trust you and get connected to you, they will share most likely, but they don't have to share. And I think that the permission based and sharing that and letting you all know, like, but she doesn't know my story. How is she going to help me if she doesn't know my story? Because it's just a story, right? I don't need to know it. I'm just here to be a guide by your side. If you choose to share it at a later time, if we were in one-to-one session, and when we finish this at the end, there'll be a time for discussion if we open and just be mindful not to get too traumatic with our shares because we don't want to trigger anybody else. It's a safe place for all. This is just an opportunity for you to go on a journey and see how you can really protect Amy and you can let her know she's safe. It's really what it's about. And when you do havening, it tends to be rapid and many times permanent, which is really important to know that because sometimes when you're in talk therapy or traditional therapy, um, telling your story over and over can be very tiring if you don't feel like you're getting anywhere with that story that you keep repeating in your mind. It could also be re-traumatizing and triggering to you. And I'm not saying there is a place for traditional psychotherapy, but sometimes you just need different tools to put in that little brain candy jar of yours. So you can pull out the chocolate, the caramel, the peppermint whenever you need it. Depends on what your sweet taste is. It's the same thing with this. It's the same thing with self-care. So you have these numbers in mind. I'm going to put up some music. Find something sweet and kind and joyful. Let's see what we got here. Turn it up a little bit. You tell me if you can hear it. Can you hear that? Yeah, nice little piano music today. We'll do that. So what I want you to do is just take a deep breath. Breath is so important. It's part of somatic healing. You can breathe in on a 4 count, hold it for 7 if you can, and breathe out on 8, twice as long out. If breathing is a little bit of an issue or problematic for you, just breathe whatever's comfortable to you. But breathing in on that 4, holding it for 7, breathing out on 8, just gets you into a really nice, beautiful pattern. So you're getting that parasympathetic nervous system, just waking him up a little bit, right? Because we live so much in nervous system. That's where we live. We need to go more into rest and repair. This is that opportunity for you. So thanks for showing up. So after you take those 3 breaths, I just want you to, if you can, if you're good at visualization, just close your eyes from this point on and just imagine yourself standing in front of a door or a gate or a window where you see the most beautiful, soothing, comforting, joyful place on the other side. And by a place, it could be an actual place, a vacation, place you love to go for a walk. It could be a song that you love to sing, but just for for us doing the havening in this group setting, if you can, try to find a place that you just always think about and it makes you happy and joyful. Okay. And if you have a problem visualizing, just find a focal point in the room or look out the window or just bring your attention to something in the room that brings you a peaceful state. Okay. The whole point is that you're just finding a sense of distraction. Okay. And then what I want you to do is, with your eyes closed from this point on, just do a quick body scan from the crown of your head, moving down your cheeks and your jaw. Relax your shoulders and your jaw. Just giving any attention to this part of your body that might be needing a little extra love and care, right? Imagine this beautiful healing light, whatever a healing color might be to you, or a light that brings you joy and happiness. Imagine that light just kind of enveloping you and going down your body. Feel it moving down your shoulders, and when it hits your shoulders, you're relaxed. Feel it moving down your arms, all the way at your fingertips, down the front and back of your spine and your chest, moving all the way down to your hips, maybe even wiggling your hips a little bit. Get comfortable and just see that soothing, healing light moving all the way down to your feet in your mind's eye, almost like you were looking at yourself in a mirror and you can see this happening in front of you. And then just like wiggle your toes and see that your feet are just grounded, like you're so much a part of the ecosystem. They say that things beneath the ecosystem actually have life and they actually communicate with each other. We're a part of that too. So just take a moment to imagine yourself grounded like energy, because we're all energy. And then just as easy as it is to see that, imagine yourself stepping across that threshold. And at this point, I want you to start havening if you haven't already. And you remember, it's on your arms or your hands or your face. Just continue the havening process. And you're going to just continue this while we go on a little journey. And remember, this journey is wherever you want it to be. But cross that threshold and imagine wherever you're going to, it's the most peaceful, calming, and joyful place you can ever imagine. Maybe it's somewhere you've been, or maybe it's somewhere you would like to go. And again, if you have a difficult time imagining, you can always put something like that on your phone or picture an image like a vision board to help you find that place. But just take that first powerful step and know that you are stepping into the intention of self-care, self-regulation, self-soothing. Beautiful. And then with each step that we take on this journey, I would like for you to find one thing within that journey that brings you peace, calm, and joy. So if you're at the beach, maybe number one is feeling the sand beneath your feet. Number two is the wind in your hair, right? Bring other experiences to mind within that experience that activate all your senses. So move into 2, and then 3, and 4. Move on to 5 and take a deep breath on 5. And maybe on this 5th step, you activate another sense. Like maybe there's something you hear in this experience wherever you are. Just be present with that for a moment. And then step into step 6 and 7 and 8. Beautiful. And 9. And on this 10th step, take another deep breath and possibly activate a different sense. Maybe it's a sense of smell, or maybe you feel something or taste something. Just really bring it to mind like it's right there with you. That's right. And then move on to step 11 and 12. Beautiful. 13, 14, and 15. Take another deep breath. And then bring another sense to mind, whatever it might be for you. And then allow yourself to go to 16 and feeling lighter and calmer, more peaceful and connected. Beautiful. Move on to 16 to 17, 18, and 19, just feeling lighter and calmer, just knowing that you have the tools to change your thoughts, moods, behaviors, and your habits whenever you need. That's right. And 19. And then on that 20th step, really step into your power. Know that you have traveled on this beautiful journey for your self-care. And just in your mind's eye, with your eyes still shut, turn around and see how far you've come. Just look back on all the steps, everything you've experienced, all the senses that you've activated, and give yourself the grace and space to just really have the power to just say, I could do this, right? Maybe even say a couple affirmations to yourself. If you're going to say it out loud, just make sure your microphone's on mute, if you will. I can do this. I'm capable. I've got this. I feel good. I am is a really powerful statement. It's affirmation. I am is like one of the most powerful sentences that you could possibly think about. It's what follows that matters, right? So just keep yourself havening, continue the havening touch wherever it might be on your body. And just be present with that for a second. That's right. And then just in your mind's eye, if you will, just on your own journey with your microphone on silent, maybe just do the alphabet real quick. I invite you to just say the alphabet, go through it. No big deal. You can even sing it if you want to sing it like a kid and singing a song, like ABC song. Go through that. Beautiful. And then when you're done doing the alphabet, I invite you to just count to 20 like we just did, but just count the numbers in whatever language is native to you, whatever's comfortable. If you're practicing another language, you could even do it that way. Just count to 20, hum it or sing it, whatever you choose to do. Beautiful. And then when you're done with that, I invite you to just spell your name. There's nothing more powerful than your name. It's you, it's who you are, right? Maybe even know what your name means and where it comes from. Spell your name out, your first, your middle, your last name. Just spell it out loud. Connect to who you are, that you're here. Beautiful. People know you. They say your name, you turn your head. It's beautiful to have an identity. That's right. And then just take a deep breath. Take 3 deep breaths, actually. If you could do the 4 in, hold for 7, out for 8, do that. Just do it 3 times. Beautiful. Just really allow that breath to tickle your cells, Maybe if there's an area of your body that needs extra attention, let that breath blanket that area, just letting it know it's safe and it's okay. If it's your heart that needs some extra love and attention, it's another part of your body. Remind it all is well. All is well. All is well. Beautiful. And then I invite you to relax your hands in your lap. Just in the chat, what I'd like for you to do is put the number that you're at now without even thinking too much about it. Think about the number where you are right now. And that could be, remember, 0 means that it's not activating you as much. I call it namaste all day. That's what folks know that I call it. Namaste all day means it doesn't bother you at all. 10 is very activated. And then give it a word too. What's the word you're at now? Beautiful. Beautiful, everybody. Keep putting it in the chat. And what do we got going on here? We started with some high numbers, didn't we? We had inadequate 7, extra mess 5, overwhelmed 5, procrastination 7, concerned 4, fatigue 7, lonely 6. And I'm seeing threes and twos and namaste all days and calm and accepting. And by the way, if you're not down at a zero, this does not mean anything. It's just giving you an idea of where you're at, right? Meet yourself where you're at. So that is, it's really important that you understand that about yourself. That, oh man, I didn't get to a one or a zero. What's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you. It's not you, it's your brain. It's not you, it's your brain. And just being aware of that and knowing that you are showing up for yourself is really part of that journey, you know? So hold space for yourself, allow yourself to be in that moment and be okay with that. And you can just continue havening too. That's the other thing. You can really continue on in haven if you feel that that is still activating you a little bit. So that is havening. And what I'd love to do, for some reason, I'm having a problem turning off my music. That's a first. If anyone would like to share, I'd like to open the floor up to anyone that has a question or would like to share. If you could just raise your hand and we could do it that way. Anyone want to share or have a question? Can't get you all full screen for some reason. You can even put it in the chat too. There we go. Oh, well, I would like to share. I mean, how is everybody really liking? That was excellent. Well, wonderful. Thank you, Janine. That means a lot to me coming from a fellow Havening tribe member. Love that. I see Lorena. Is that correct, Lorena? Am I saying your name correctly?
Yeah,
Please share. What's your question? Thank
I
you for
had a
joining us.
yeah, thank you for hosting this. How important is it to have that journey where we kept taking steps? Because my happy place I envisioned was like lots of soft, fluffy pillows that I just
Oh,
want to curl up on.
love that. I love that. Now, that's a really good question, and I'm glad that you're sharing it. I just chose to take us there, but like I said early on, if your happy place is somewhere else, it doesn't have to be the beach. You don't have to take steps. When I say steps, I mean like just finding 20 different things. 20 if you like being on pillows, maybe it's like this pillow looks like this and that one feels like that. Maybe one's a plushie and it feels like an animal, right? It's just creating that level of distraction to where you're pulling focus from somewhere else. Much like when I said, you know, say the alphabet, count to 20, say your name. These are all distractions. And while you're havening, that allows you to, that starts the brain doing the rewiring. Does that make sense?
Yes, that was going to be my other question is what's with the alphabet?
Perfect. Those are great questions. These are just different ways that we can distract, right? Like I try to use something really simple. Now, if I was in a one-to-one session getting to know a client, I might find out that Lorena loves what? Pillows. What is something that you love?
Yeah, soft, fluffy things and purring cats. One,
Oh, I'm with you on that. Like I'm a kitty cat lover too, animal lover. So I might actually say, I would you feel comfortable telling me the different colors of cats or there's not that many I wouldn't ask somebody their breed unless they're like, oh yeah, I'm a vet, I love all breeds of cats. They might be more comfortable naming the different breeds, right? So like for you it might be you like fluffy pillowy things. Is that what you're saying? Like plush toys or things like that? What else?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
plush
so
toys,
I might
pillows, soft, fuzzy blankets, anything that gives me that cozy feeling.
perfect. And what I might do is if you and I were together and I knew that about you, because of course taking health histories is important, getting to know each other is important. It's not necessarily sharing the upset that might be coming up for you, but getting to know you means that we have a connection, right? So I might be like, name 20 things that you consider fluffy and plush and cozy. And you might be like, oh, a blanket and, the clouds and cotton candy. And so you're distracted and you're going into this distraction state and you're havening. And that's what's causing the rewiring, right? Not to get too neurosciency, even though havening is a neuroscience-based approach, but you're creating that there's a whole slew of, there's a big movie going on in your head, right? With this beautiful part of your brain, the amygdala and your thalamus. And what it's causing a lot of like neuroreceptors and things are just so beautiful in that beautiful brain of yours that are happy. And that's why I say it's not you, it's your brain. So just like we can go to the negative space so fast, right, and create that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, we also have the ability to change the narrative on that and create the positive. It's up to us to do that because the brain is designed to go to the negative, or else some big saber-toothed tiger would have taken us out a long time ago, right? If we went up to it and we were like, hey, you're kitty, kitty, right? So that's a really beautiful example that you shared too, because that's what I love doing with kids. So like when I do it in schools or if I'm working one-to-one with a child, and it's the same thing you might do when a child's having problems going to sleep. You tell them a story, you create imagination. So why is it any different as an adult? Right? So kids might want to tell me the colors of the rainbow. What's your favorite color? Pink. What are things in the world that are pink? And they'll just start naming things, and all of a sudden you're not thinking about the thing that puts you at a 6, 7, or 8, or 9, or 10. You're suddenly in this world that brings you comfort and joy and peace. And that's what's changing and allowing your brain to feel safe. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you. That helps a lot.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming. Does anyone else have a question? I love having newcomers. I'm sorry, I see Seppi has a question. Does it matter if you do havening over your clothes or better to touch bare skin? Great question. You can do either. It's what's most comfortable to you. I mean, obviously, if I'm working with clients, I'm very careful with touching them. And I'm always, again, it's permission based. So if they have short sleeves on, I will honestly say, even if they gave me permission to do the havening on them, I'm like, are you comfortable with me touching your skin? I just want to make sure. And I don't make a big deal out of it because again, they're seeing me, they already feel safe, right? But I might ask them, or are you comfortable with me touching your face? Because some people don't like that, right? I always ask permission for all three areas that I'm touching because it really is just this, and this, right? Do I have clients that do it on other areas of their body? Absolutely. Some people find that their thighs are very soothing. I have a client who's an
Yeah.
amputee, so he might do it on just the one arm that he has, right? Or even on his leg. So it really depends on what works for you. And as far as the clothing or not clothing, if you're more comfortable and you feel more sensation against your bare skin, go for it. But that it's your body, your choice, right? But if it is something you're doing on someone else and you are a practitioner, always ask for permission. Be it whether they have long sleeves, shorts, face, whatnot, just always ask for permission. I hope that
Yeah.
answers your question. And great. Does anyone else have any questions that they want to ask? I see people still havening, which I love. It's so easy. Joseph, I see you just like, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. Yeah, so great. I just love having practitioners in the room too. I'd love to know, what brought you to the Havening Happy Hour? Would anyone like to share that? We do have some extra time. I'd love to know what brought you here for the first time. What made you say yes to spending 7 o'clock, well, Eastern time, uh, with me and fellow, you know, folks that are looking to work on their self-care? Does anyone want to share? Just having you here is a gift for me because just this is the kind of work that I love doing and I love sharing it. I will share something if nobody has any questions. Oh, okay. Janine, go for it.
Yeah, I heard you maybe on one of those shorts on first Facebook, and you said happy hour havening, Tuesday, 7 p.m. So I quick put it on my calendar and I said, oh, that would be nice to have somebody bring me to a space of peace and joy and sit back. And you are so effusive with your love and joy energy. I said, oh, I
Oh,
want to be,
thanks.
and that's why I'm here. I was happy to
Well, I
see
love
it.
that. Thank you so much. It is a joy. And, I can't believe the summer's already gone by and it's been too much since I've seen you. We were at
Yeah,
the Havening Global Conference in Long Island in September, where we almost are, June. The summer flew.
it was
So
June.
I really appreciate you coming and sharing the space.
I'm so glad I knew what it was because I'd heard you say it before, but when you said Tuesday, then that made the
I know
difference
you
to me.
can't just say the date, right? You have to say the day of the week. I've
All
gotten
right,
into the habit of doing that because I forget stuff too.
thank you. Thank you.
Of course. I appreciate it. And I'm going to certainly try to do these not just in the evening. I mean, I know sometimes we have clients during the day or we have kids during the day or we're running around doing our thing. And I certainly want to hold space for those who are across the pond because sometimes we get people from all over the world, and I certainly don't want to always do this to where it's 3 a.m. to them. So I'll probably do the next one earlier next in September. Uh, anyway, thank you for sharing. Joseph, what is your question or share? Oh, I don't hear you. Ask to unmute. You are on mute.
I'm chatting with myself.
Oh. I'm always talking to myself.
Yeah, we have a mutual. Have we met before?
Not
I
in
don't know.
person. Not
Not
in
in person?
person. No.
Okay. Okay. So, anyways, we have a mutual friend, and that's Patty Del Solo.
Uh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, yes, she told me. That's right. About a year ago, I learned that. I love that.
Yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
seen
yeah,
Patty.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Patty and I did professional theater together. That's how we know each other. She was
Oh,
the
great.
wig designer on a number of shows I did in my
Yeah.
former life, y'all. I was a professional actor. While I was
Wow.
taking a break from journalism, I went back into my first love of acting, and then I came back to this. Read the book; it's all in there. That's
What's the book?
amazing. I love that. I
What's the
wish
book?
Patty would come.
Yeah. What's the book?
So I am in the process of having it looked at publishers right now. It's called the Hug It Out Method, and it's
Okay.
part of my program. And basically, it's ways to bring humor, understanding, and gratitude into your everyday, which is the HUG, right? So that's why I always say let's hug it out, right? It's not just because of havening. That's something I came up with that we have to learn to hug it out with ourselves in the everyday. Forgive ourselves, be kind to ourselves. We spend so much time trying to make amends with everyone else. We got to make amends with our own mind. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Beautiful.
excited. Actually, it's in the publisher's hands right now. I actually won honorable mention with Hay House, so I'm very excited about that.
Oh,
I
really?
know, I know, it's crazy. I don't know if they're going to publish it, but just getting honorable mention made me very happy. So, it will be out there soon once we get it in the publisher's hands that chooses it, and then we'll go from there. Yeah.
Yay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So
Thank
cool.
you for sharing. I can't wait to tell Patty, or you could tell her. I
Yeah.
miss her. Who else? Anybody else want to share? Oh, hello, Kitty. Kitty wants to share. That was like perfect timing.
Kitty
That
wants
me-
Kitty wants
the,
to eat.
the meow came at like the perfect time. That was so cute. Oh, I miss my girl. She used to do that all the time. She used to sit like right here. Miss Eliza. Anyway, really great. Well, I do want to share a couple things with you before we go. I don't want to keep you all too long, but just as a reminder, and I know this came up, actually, Cheryl, you asked me today, I believe, in an email about the podcast. And the podcast I have is Holistically Speaking. I've been doing it for about 4.5 years. And I put it on not hiatus, but and it's so weird for me because I've been doing it for so long. I never usually take this long of a break, but the last episode I put out was right before I went into the Havening training trainer program because I was like, sometimes you got to let go of something to allow something else to enter your space. And I needed to take a couple months to just give myself a chance to focus. So the podcast is coming back in the fall, in September, either in September. I'm just not sure which week. We're in editing stages. We've got some amazing topics coming. So I know that was a question that was asked, and it's called Holistically Speaking. I was trying to share the thing about it here. Can you see that? Oh my goodness. Are you seeing my screen? My I was the messiest laptop cover. Hold on a second. I'm just going to give you the we're going to be interviewing. We have a lot of great interviews coming up, one of which Dr. Frank Anderson, who is amazing. I don't know if you've ever heard of Frank, but here I'm putting this in the podcast notes. Here we go. That's my podcast. and you can easily, I think that is the right link to it. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, the podcast is a weekly podcast that's trauma to triumph stories through holistic health, healing, and humor, how to be a happy, healthy grown up. So it will be coming back. We've got a number of really great guests and some really great topics to occur. And if you are interested in coming to another happy hour or any of the events that I host, I have this area. These are some other events that I have going on too, where I'm guest speaking. You can just go to hilaryrusso.com/events. I'm doing a couple events coming up soon. One is a hormone health, and I'm sharing havening on that, how it can help you with your hormones and hot flashes. Sorry, Joseph, that's probably not one you'd be interested in, unless you're supporting somebody else. Although who knows, no judgment. And then I have one with care workers and caseworkers that I'm doing in Maryland for National Care Worker or Caseworker Day. And then the New York Public Library, I have one coming up. So they're constantly being added. And it's just sometimes we do havening. A lot of it goes back to havening because that's my jam. And then, of course, I do a lot on the Hug It Out program, and I share that at different groups. So I highly recommend you stay in touch. I do have you on my Brain Candy newsletter, so you'll be getting those periodically. And if you have any other questions, just let me know, because I do stick around for a couple minutes if you want to ask me anything in private. And I guess on the final note, since we're doing some trainings, I have my first Havening trainer training coming up at the end of September. I'm very excited about that. Miss Cheryl is going to be in the first class with me, so I'm excited about that. If you're interested in getting certified as a Havening Techniques practitioner, or you know somebody that it might benefit, it is a two-step process. The first step is you just go through a 2-day training, and that just gives you more information, mastering the skills, the protocols that are havening, which is what you did today was just a nice, there's 7 different protocols in havening, and you learn all about the neuroscience, the history of it. You practice it with anyone who's in the class. You learn about what havening really is and how it can support you and who it can support. And you're able to use it just in a personal setting. If you just take the 2-day training, then you can also go on for certification or mentorship, which is where you will do a number of case studies and you practice with different people, and you really are going on the certification route with me as your mentor for you have up to a year to finish. So if anyone's interested in that, you're welcome to reach out. It's a beautiful modality, whether you are a doctor or a practitioner by any means, health coach, just want to learn it for, if you're a teacher, we're seeing more teachers learning how to do it. Anything, there's really no career that's off the table with this one, or not even career, just human, right? So if it's something of interest to you, I am going to be looking to set up the next training after this. So
That's
on that
wonderful.
note, yeah, I'm really excited about it. This has been something I've been looking forward to doing, so that we can put more beautiful practitioners out into the world, right? To put the healing in their hands, right? So what I would love to do before we go, if no one has any more questions, we'll just get a little hands up, take a picture real quick. Hold on one sec. If you are on, if you're okay coming on camera for a second, I would love that. If not, that's okay too. So, ready? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Oh, I love this. Joan down there. It's like you're playing a piano.
Sorry.
Everybody's doing their own thing. There's no rules. It's all right. Thank you so much, everyone. It is 7:59. I got you right on the money. I'm so good at just timing's really a good thing for me. It's the inner clock. It knows, right? The inner clock just knows. I'll stick around for a few minutes if anyone has questions and wants to chit chat. I've got nowhere to go. I'm at home. So
Thank you.
thank you so much, everyone. The next one will be at the end of September, and I will post it. It'll be in the emails, and you can always check the events page for anything coming up. Again, podcasts, would love to have you tune in and listen, and then just see you back here in a month.